In this episode, we talked about the importance of a quality on-ramp system for your gym members. So we've created a 1, 3, and 5-day system that you can use for free. If you think this is something you'll use in your gym, click the link down below for free access.
Stop that talk.
Yeah. Well, hey guys, how are you doing?
Hey, welcome.
Heyo.
Welcome.
We wanted to have these two meatheads on just to talk about being meatheads.
Okay, hold up. Let's pause. I am not a meathead, but Mike, look at him.
It's true, you're not, because when you take your shirt off, you look like just the average Joe in the gym. That's why you're the
Why is it not
person.
meat body? You know?
Yeah.
Why is it meat head?
Is my head actually meaty or is my body meaty?
You have a meaty body. Not in a bad way. It's just like you're just a strong, thick human being.
I mean, you don't have to train any strength proudly, and then you maintain it. All of it.
It is impressive. I was telling you, I had an athlete, Brad was in town last week, and I was like, Mike can just stare at a barbell and get stronger.
Makes
like,
my palms sweat.
You're like, ugh.
I watch people lift. I'm like, man, my palms are sweaty.
That's you adapting the strength.
Yeah, it's so nice.
Come to me.
Yeah.
Over the last few weeks, we've been talking about game stuff. We had a little rant episode. We've brought on the guy that introduced Max to CrossFit. We want to kind of change it a little bit and gear it towards affiliates. It was funny because a couple of weeks ago, I had another conversation with someone that's in the CrossFit space that helps with affiliates, and he was just talking about how much they struggle on average because either people are getting into it because it's a passion thing, it's a hobby for them, but they don't really know business systems or they don't know coaching systems. Mm-hmm. And so they start this business and then they really struggle for years and years and years and can never make a living for themselves, never can build a community. Or the ones that are successful, it's just like maybe it's luck of the draw or they're doing the right thing. And I think that Travis, obviously you've had this now. How long have you had your affiliate?
9 years.
9 years, and it's successful.
Next year will be 10.
Why not 10? Oh. Why have you had it 10 years?
Yeah.
Well, we got to wait. We got to wait about 365 more days.
Okay.
Is that how it works when you go from 9 to 10?
Sometimes.
How what
Mike's
he was like,
Mike's
it's been 9 years. 9 years. Next year will be 10.
Yeah.
Like,
I just think
how
do
come
better.
How
do
come
better.
you had 10? Yeah.
Is today your 9-year anniversary of the
No,
gym?
what was that? May 2013?
Oh, nice.
Because it was just before my first games.
Oh, what a stressful thing to do.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it wasn't the smartest timing. But hey, I haven't been really good with timing with really anything.
Yeah, kids.
Everything I've done, just keep adding more things to my plate.
One thing after
But
the
yeah,
next.
that was right before the games. We opened in May 2013.
So we wanted to talk about the successes and the failures that you've had, but also kind of like lead this into a discussion about just affiliates in general. Like how can we better the space? One of the things that we always talk about is bettering the athlete, but I also think we're all so tied to CrossFit as a whole and we want to see it succeed. But the biggest part of that, I think, is probably the affiliate base. You know, having these, however many it is now, 10,000 or 12,000 affiliates thrive and make money not only for the owner, but also for the employees, because there are so many coaches that are just getting by. I know that when I owned my affiliate, I mean, I wasn't getting paid. Like I was making nothing. And that's a very stressful situation to be in. And it's also hard when you're passionate about something, but you're still not being able to take care of your family to stay in that space. Yeah. So I wanted to bring both of you on to kind of talk about that. And I think the first question that I would have is like, well, how do we sustain a member base in a community where maybe it is kind of oversaturated, right? You see even in the Alpharetta area, there's so many different gyms.
Yeah, I mean, there's one on the same road down here.
I mean, yeah, in
There's
this
one
area,
on this road?
Yeah, you go out, well, technically not
Different
North
road.
Fulton, but like on Hembry. If you go out on Hembry, it's 800 meters down there on the left.
How are they? They pretty sweet?
I don't know.
I mean, it's definitely gym specific, you know, like this area isn't as saturated as others. Like I remember how bad California got for a while. There's like gyms literally across the street. And I don't know if it's exactly the same case now, but I think why owners might have a hard time keeping members in the gym is going to be very gym specific. So I think just focusing on something Travis has done over the past 9 years to maintain is pretty cool. And just watching him implement different things with programming and community-based events has been, you know, fun to be a part of for the last few years myself with running some of the programming.
What's your average retention?
Right now, I think there's technically like 228 technical members that's in Wodify, so the system we use for all that, but I think around probably 190 of like actual full paying members, because like my parents, myself, all the coaches are classified like in Wodify.
Right.
Yeah.
But that ranges up and down. You gain 5, you lose 4, you gain 10, you lose 3. Like it just is always the up and down. But like your point, I think the saturation, I always feel like you build a good community, and I've never really worried about who someone was and where they were located. I felt like if we just created a good product and kind of stood by that then people would keep coming and want to come. And I've never contracted people in to like force them to stay. And if they wanted to leave, I always gave them the option. That was more from like a personal training background of seeing people get roped into contracts that I absolutely hated. So I never wanted to do that myself. And so this has allowed, I feel like, ourselves to just keep growing. And granted, me being, of course, an athlete, I have kind of that pull of like, oh, well, here's a games athlete, but I don't think that's ever really brought people in.
Yeah. I mean, I think people don't walk in the door thinking like, I'm going to be like Travis Mayer, but
no, and
they're inspired by it.
Yeah. And I don't think I've ever marketed it either. Like we've never pushed to like market myself as like, this is the gym. This is where like from the beginning, it's always just been like, this was our gym. This is what we do. This is what we focus on. These are the important things to us. And then you have these events and other things that take place throughout the year. And I think it just builds a good community. And over time, we've bought out one gym that was directly behind us. Like you could have thrown a baseball to them. We bought them out. And then another gym during COVID closed. We got a lot of their members. And then other gym members have just started joining based off of finding out about the community, or one person left and then it says how awesome it is. Then another person comes, and it slowly just kind of builds momentum that way. And we've kind of just been successful from not really doing a ton of marketing. It's just been word of mouth and bring your friends. And that's
I
good.
feel like referrals, your most powerful marketing tool. And if the members have a very positive experience and they feel that they're being cared for, they feel that there's thought and concern put into programming, cleanliness of the gym, like all that adds up. And it's really easy to tell people about the gym that you're attending and you know, them being excited about it. And you don't have to, you don't have to pay for that.
Yeah.
Like,
you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Probably one of our biggest things we ever did was bring a friend week. And it was something we've started. It used to be like bring a friend day. Like you'd bring somebody for a day and let them just come work out for free and experience it. And then we started transitioning that to a full week to allow them to come all week and experience it. And that for us has been probably one of the biggest things of getting people in the door. Cause it was like, hey, if you want to come work out and try us out, it's free all week. You can kind of get an idea, like Mike will adjust the programming, that it's like the general population that is here is still getting the progressions that they're working on. But then the new people are understanding like, oh, this is what you're striving to. This is how you adjust this. These are the scaling options. So then they can kind of see like the RX side of things, the scaled side of things, and what we kind of focus on to still get that kind of like vibe and feel of what a class is like. And then it's an easier decision for them to be like, yeah, sign me up.
Yeah.
Okay, now here's our on-ramp program. This is what we do. This is what you need to take. Then jump into the class structure. And for us, that's been probably one of the biggest things of getting people in the door. And it's free, right? It doesn't cost us anything.
Let's start there. We can come back to the marketing and all the things that you've done on that side, because I think people would be interested in that, especially those that are starting affiliates or those that just need to grow their member base. Because that would be, to be honest, step one is like you have to have a member base to keep the member base, right? But outside of that, obviously now you've been here 9 years. What are the keys? You kind of mentioned this, Mike, and maybe you guys can kind of go back and forth. But what are the keys to keeping members happy in the gym? And then we can kind of talk about those negatives, like why do members leave after that?
Yeah, I think every affiliate is probably going to be different with what keeps people inside, right? Like you can have the results, but you could have a terrible community and then someone doesn't want to stay. But I think for us, you get results and then you also have a great community and people that are standing behind it and teaching you and coaching you. And I think for them, that's something they're going to gain something. My thought is always to, whenever someone comes in, whatever class, that they're gaining something from that class.
Yeah.
Some cue, some technical, something, pacing, whatever it may be, that they're at least learning one thing from that day to carry on. And
is that something that you're talking to your coaches about? Like, hey, it's Monday and we're working on power cleans. Yeah. This is the thing I want you guys to.
Even in some of the coaches meetings, it's always been just give them one cue that at least hopefully they can take away, or at least make sure that each person has some attention every single class. And it's hard, of course, when there's 20 something people in a class and there's a snatch day and you're trying to get to them all. But I think everybody sees some benefit in that when it's like, oh, well, I didn't even think of that. Or even like you're snatching, turn your wrist over more. Like when you're setting up, it's like, oh, I didn't even think of that. And then they notice it and they see a difference. And then for them, that's a positive. And so then they want to come back again. What's this like? What's this? But there's so many movements in CrossFit that you can give them different cues 10,000 times and it can keep improving.
Yeah, it's constantly solving a puzzle. Like they may not have aspirations to be a high level competitor, but they do like the challenge and the feeling of progressing, of learning and getting better at movements,
Yeah.
perfecting your golf swing. Cause like CrossFit's a hobby in a way. I mean, people are here to get
Brandon
fit.
can't do that, by the way.
Zero chance. I mean, CrossFit classes, they're people are here to get fit, but it's also a hobby in a way. Like, where you get hooked and kind of addicted to the movements and the workouts is, you want to feel like you're working on like an art or a craft and getting better at it, and coming to class and having a coach that has the answers to these keeps members really engaged.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it is the same thing as like golf or basketball, like a rec league. Like this for them is their like fun sport they get to do on the side. And like you're still suffering to a degree and it's uncomfortable, but I feel like that also comes with the growth of progressing.
Yeah.
Right?
I love the idea of giving them one thing that they can take home with them.
Yeah.
Like that is so powerful too for the athlete or the member that's coming into the gym, because then again, to your point, they always feel like they're getting something out of it. Like I'm putting money into this, but the value that's coming back to me is just as powerful. Yeah. And I think that's something that most gyms miss.
What are some mistakes you've made programming wise in the past?
Programming wise?
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, we can sit here and talk about like, here's the good things you've done, but like, like you've been in operation for 9 years. You haven't done everything perfect. Like, what are some of the things that you feel like gym owners need to know? Like, you could probably try and skip this.
I mean, I think like I used to write the programming from the beginning. Once we first started, it was just one of those things you don't really think about paying for. Like I had Max from the beginning of coaching. So I've always had a coach, but then from the affiliate, I was like, well, I can just write my own stuff. And I think sometimes you get confused that your members aren't games athletes. And so sometimes like I'm writing a workout for myself, but you just get kind of caught up in it and not really thinking like, okay, well, this is your average Joe over here that can't do any of this, but man, we're going to do 20 muscle ups and you're going to do burpee pull ups. And then you're going to do like, and just excessive. That's not necessary for the general population. But I think some of those mistakes of programming was probably a lot of them, honestly, I think early on, because you're also so new that you want to do everything. Yeah. Like when I first started, I was technically just turned 22. Yeah. So you're very influenced by what you see everybody else do. You always would see like Rich or somebody do all these workouts. Like, yeah, man, you guys can all do that too. You'll be fine. And then you start to realize like, okay, maybe that wasn't actually smart. Yeah. You pressed actually 4 times this week. You didn't squat it. Like all those kind of things when you're actually looking at like repetition, movements, that I think hiring a coach to like handle all that was probably like one of the easiest decisions, but then also the most rewarding. Like handing that off to you when you took over, I was like, oh my God, thank you. Like it was just like it's just something less you don't have to worry about. Like you're handling the progressions, you're making sure everything's set, and now we come in and execute. But I think a lot of that is just sometimes the affiliate owners don't want to pay for it or fork out the money, but I would guarantee that it's worth it. So I would say, just the programming in general is just not knowing enough about certain progressions and things that you have going on. So having someone else that does makes that a lot easier. Yeah. And I feel like too, like the people that might complain about some parts of the programming, you feel heavily influenced to immediately change it. So maybe you have 1 or 2 people that, we're not getting enough of this. So, all right, now I need to go in and make all these changes. You're trying to make all your members happy at the same time. And I think when you have a programmer and by no means am I sitting here trying to sell like, hiring me as a programmer. What I'm saying is when you can remove yourself from that equation, you can be more analytical and actually like pay attention to, all right, as a whole, what does the member base need? Yeah. Where do I feel like, some people are asking for more of this, but as a whole, what's it going to do to the entire community if we make these changes to it? So as an owner of a gym, it's very difficult to balance all of those things. You're also trying to run operations. You feel like he's just too close to them personally? That's what I'm saying. Like, well, I think that's too. And then when they say something like, you take it personal, right? Yeah. Like to a degree, Mike's the bad guy. Well, to a degree, yes, because they'll say it like, "Damn it, Mike!" Like it's him. Dude, but for sure, I walk in sometimes and they're like, "What is this?" But I think part of it is like you create such close relationships with your members. Like it's a community. Like these people are here because of a community, and like they want to hang out with each other. They're here because the coaches or myself, whatever it is. And so when they're like, "Why are we doing this? What's this?" and you're like, "Okay, well maybe I'm doing something wrong." And then when it takes me out of it and now I'm not the one doing it, it's like, okay, well Mike's writing it now, you can go to him, but at least we've kind of structured it now to where there's a full progression and it's explained what's happening, what's going on, so then they have a better idea, and then now I think they're less complaining about the whole situation. I imagine that's a super headache. You mentioned vocal minority on some of that stuff. I think you said that's it, vocal minority. I knew there was a term for it. Okay, you were alluding to it. Yes.
I've imagined that that's a big pain in the butt with a membership base. How many you say? 190 regulars? Yeah. Like, because they're all going to be vocal minorities about their one specific thing, not taking.
Yeah. I think you have the plus and minus. Like, you have some that are way more vocal than others, that just every day they're going to complain about something that's
part of the fun though too, right?
You just listen to them, but they still show up every single day and still do it. And then you have others that won't. Better. Yeah.
I think do you have to respond to every request they make?
No.
But I think you can hear them and listen to them, and they're the ones that are going to give you honest feedback.
Yeah. So how valuable. Important is progression, writing progressions or pushing them towards progress versus community in the gym?
Well, I mean, I think it's extremely important, right? If they're not seeing progress, then they're just staying here to stay here.
Let me ask that another way. I think this is, you talked about this, right? When you were programming for people, you were writing CrossFit workouts, right? Like, so you were using the main model of like monostructural weightlifting, gymnastics, and then separating them. Yeah. And while that works well in most gyms, it is oftentimes you see gyms become stagnant when they do that because it's very hard to create long-term progress and health for the community. And I know some people will probably push back on that, but I just, that's my opinion based on what I've seen in other gyms. Whereas if you have someone like Mike who's coming in and has thoughtful programming and he's thinking about, we want to get these people strict pull-ups. We want to get them to be able to snatch correctly. We want them to be able to have a really good squat position, whatever it may be. And then you lay all those things out and then we can start presenting that to them. Hey, this month we're working on your squat pattern, or this month this is what we're working on. Do you get buy-in that way, or do people enjoy more just the chaos of CrossFit?
I think it goes both ways. I think over time I've learned the importance of the health aspect of it, of actually like, hey, you start moving better, you'll feel better, you'll sleep better, all these other things go into it. Where at the beginning, I think it was more just like, you love the chaos of CrossFit. Like, that's what it was. But then you also have to start looking at, okay, well, if these members are only in it for 9 months and then they're out because of some injury or something, how can we extend that to 2 years now before something like, or hopefully that doesn't happen, but extending the life term of a member.
Sure. Yeah.
So then that goes into, okay, well, that's actually a programming thing. Okay. Well, how many times are we pressing and pulling and squatting? And then you can start to like still build the community aspect at the same time as that's happening.
Yeah. Do you see more buy-in when someone is making that progress, or do people enjoy more just kind of like, I want to come in and go hard?
I mean, I've seen both.
Yeah. What was the transition like for you guys?
Yeah.
When you went from yours to his and.
It was a lot of, it was
a lot of trial and error.
Yeah. It was a lot of back and forth. I mean, it was an adjustment because the members,
they want pure CrossFit.
They wanted a lot of CrossFit, and there was just a lot of communication. We had to sit down and be like, "Look, like you're going to get that, and you're going to."
What were some of the main hiccups? Like, can you go into some of that?
I mean, when I first started writing for him, I think I was over programming a little bit. Like, some of the classes were just too long. I was trying to create too many things that they wanted to progress in at a time.
How many years have you been doing it? Sorry for all the interruptions.
3 years.
3 years.
Yeah.
But we would run over 10, 15 minutes in a class.
Yeah. We'd run over, and then maybe some weeks, he'd come back and be like, hey man, like the progressions are great, but they just want some CrossFit sometimes too. So I'd be like, all right, I'll adjust that. I'll improve that. And we had a really good trial and error process for a while, and then it got better and better. And I mean, I was open to feedback too. Like, we would send out surveys to the members, and it was hard to read. You take it personally. Like, you want people to enjoy your programming. But at the end of the day, like, they're the customer and you're trying to help them get fitter and healthier and have a great time. Trying to balance all those is not an easy process.
Not at all.
So I feel confident now, like there's been a good balance of it. Members are getting stronger all the time. They're hitting great progressions and strength cycles. They're still getting a lot of CrossFit, and we do a lot of fun community events. And like the community events, you can elaborate more on this. Like, you do a good job of hosting in-house competitions. The ERG Athlon was one of the coolest ones. We got to give credit to Justin Lamance at Hit and Run in Memphis. I saw them do this a lot.
Shout out Justin.
Yep. And the attendance was always high, and I was like, brought it to Brandon Travis, like, we should do this. And it was huge. It was like 60 something teams.
Yeah, it was awesome.
60 something teams of 3. Like, it's a lot of people.
No, I think it was 24 teams.
Oh, sorry. There you go.
60. Yeah, I was like,
come on, dude.
I think there was 180
what the
people.
Hell, man? Just let it roll.
No. Yeah. That was a lot.
A little aggressive.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it definitely was trial and error at the beginning of, okay, this doesn't work. Okay, a lot of them aren't happy. And you just listen to the members also. But then you also have to be like, okay, well, there's a reason you're doing this progression and what it will let you get to and the goal that you want to achieve. Okay, well, you want to do muscle ups and that's your goal. Great. but like there's a progression to get there. It's not just keep doing muscle ups. And so I think finding the balance over time, and it took a little while, but now we definitely, I believe, have a really good structure in how it actually works. The members understand it. They understand that there's a progression, and when they're able to test and retest and be like, oh, wow, I just PR'd by 30 pounds. And like, oh, okay, this does work. And then it's easier to track data that way.
So where's the balance then? Because you just talked about getting feedback, and then kind of you have to, I assume, as a coach, push back a little bit when you know like the best interest of the community. But at the same time, you can't just say, no, we're going to do it this way, and then everyone leaves, right? Yeah. So for that process for you, for the affiliate owners that are listening, how do you kind of draw the line of like, no, we're going to stick with this, but then also get their feedback and change some things?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was just kind of like almost like a feeling of knowing. Yeah. Like you just start listening. Like at the beginning, we knew there was going to be pushback
for sure.
Just like
change is hard.
Change is hard, and it was a completely different way of how the program was written. Right? It's getting a coach and not having a coach. Like you're going to do all the things you want to do and the fun stuff, and then when you get a coach, hey, do movement work for 3 hours. And essentially, that was kind of for them like what that felt like, probably because there was like more movement work. There was things that were less percentage based and more technical, and like, well, come on, let me snatch, man. And it's like, well, no, you can't even catch this way. And so then you're like having to re-break down everything and technical, but I don't know. It was just almost like I wouldn't say there was like an exact time, but it was more having an understanding of like, okay, look, you're still getting all this CrossFit 4 days a week. You have this longer endurance piece this day a week, and then you have this day a week. And so then you're able to look at it on a piece of paper and be like, okay, this is what's actually happening. You're getting all of these things that you're asking for on these days. Now, did you come in those days? No. Okay, well, I can't help with that. But there's at least a progression and a reason on why it's happening, and where the line is drawn for that is, I don't know. It was just I feel like it's hard because it was just a feeling inside the community of everyone seemed satisfied with it.
I think number one is they trusted you. Yeah. They trusted you, and they trusted that, all right, he's making a decision that's going to be better for the gym. It's going to be different. We're going to have pushback, but Travis keeps an open line of communication with the members. He explains like, these are the things that we're working towards. He equips the coaches with knowing what the changes would be, so that it wasn't just a shock of programming and people not knowing what to expect. Like, oh, we didn't see a Metcon this week, or they saw a Metcon. Oh, we didn't see this kind of Metcon this week. Does this mean we're not going to have them anymore? It's like, no, it'll be there Monday. It'll be there. You know, like the reassurance of like, you're still getting the fun stuff, if you will, but it's for, long-term means of like, we're going to help you feel better and actually get stronger in the process. And
Mike, how did you do that on the programming side? So as Travis relayed the feedback of like, they want this or they didn't want that, what are you thinking when you're looking on the macro view of like, hey, here are the plans that I had, but now they're saying maybe they want some tweaks. Like, what are you doing to balance that out?
I mean, I have a lot of chats with the coaches. My wife coaches. I'm friends with all the other coaches of the gym. I talk to Travis on a daily basis. So it's just open communication on just, hey, how is everyone feeling? Where are the members at? What events do you guys want to do? What are we working towards? I'm always pushing them like, hey, I want to know what you guys want to build on this next cycle.
Set goals.
Let's sit down and talk about it. And it's a balance of, what do you want the gym to be? And then what do you want the members to do as well? And we meet in the middle on that. So I think communication is important. And then also too, like making sure that you're injecting a lot of fun into it still, like creating challenges, still doing named workouts, doing prep towards certain different styles of competitions. And we have Murph prep. They do the ERG Athlon now. They do a weightlifting competition once a year, the Open. There's an in-house partner competition once a year typically. And then recently, to fulfill the demand of those that want more advanced programming, instead of changing the entire program, they came up with the idea of
competitors program,
like a competitors program, but it's not just extra programming. They extended class hours a couple of days a week where a coach is present and the members can come in, and for an extra rate and per month, the members can come in and follow the programming and have coaches' eyes on them. So that fulfills those that want more stuff, but are also being safely coached in it, instead of just being like, sure, whatever you want, let me just throw more stuff at you, and hopefully you don't get hurt.
And then
in the
it's
process.
coached, and it's in a small group. So
I love that. Yeah.
Even if there's 4 people, it's much easier to coach that and help someone if there's snatches or bar muscle ups or chest to bar, something they're like trying to work towards, versus you're in a class of 25 and it's like, okay, well, you just don't need that progression right now. You need this, but I can't focus all that time on you right now. So this gives them the option of like, one, some people just love extra work. I mean, most CrossFitters love to just keep going and would stay in a gym all day. 2, it's now actually structured. So then you're looking at it, it's actually written around the programming that's happening, and then is going to help them get to whatever those goals are. So you're still tying in like movement work, high skill gymnastics, weightlifting. So at least they still feel like they're accomplishing things and able to still work on other goals than it's just the class, or staying after and doing open gym, but not knowing what to do, or potentially following another program that they don't even know why they're doing it, but they're just doing it because
or
they
could
want
hurt
extra
themselves because they're doubling up on things. Yeah. So essentially that is, now you have 2 different options. Those for like let's just call them the regular gym member that wants to do CrossFit, have fun, stay healthy, get fit, but maybe doesn't want to be competitive. Like they're not trying to make like
in and
a
out an
semifinal,
hour,
right?
Yeah. Go all my life. Yeah.
And then there are some, and you guys especially have a lot of younger, all ages, but higher level athletes that are really talented or really strong. I've seen some guys and girls over there like very impressive with their squats and other things that maybe want a little extra. And so now you're just offering that option to your
So
clients.
it just gives those people an option to do something else. And of course it's also a business decision, right? Like it's another revenue stream of bringing in. And then now more and more people will talk about it. Then hey, why don't you start doing this? Then you get like personal training. Then you get to do these other things that are happening. And then now they're seeing more results.
Right.
Okay, well, here's this option. And so then I think it's just providing more of an option for the whole entire gym. And sometimes not having that would just potentially cause them to leave or go do something else or follow a different program that doesn't help us at all.
Right. So we talk about kind of the programming side, but what about the community side? What do you and Mike, you kind of alluded to some of those competitions, but what are you doing? What are you actively thinking about telling your coaches or you yourself to build the community inside of your gym? Because the one thing just real quick I've seen is like everyone is really close, which is kind of cool. Like people come in and they're just like hanging out and talking.
Dude, Saturdays are awesome.
I know,
it's like
so
everyone
cool.
does the workout and just kicks it for a while.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's
it's
really
a cool
neat
feeling.
to see.
Yeah, sometimes when they're just sitting there or like not doing anything, I'm like, oh, what are you guys talking about? But I think it's more interesting to see when I see everybody outside of here, right? When I see the members outside of the gym, that's when I'm like, oh, wow. Like, that's kind of cool. Like what you've helped create.
Yeah.
And when they have friends or then they've actually gotten married or had kids or like, I've seen these like relationships evolve from inside the gym. And to me, that's really cool to see.
But I think I know what started it. I know what the catalyst is. Whirly ball.
Oh, whirly ball. If you need a great gym outing, get whirly ball. Get everybody together.
You're
and have
gonna have
a
to
whirly
explain
ball.
that for those that don't know.
I want to explain it because people are going to think I'm making it up.
Wait, you don't think it's a popular thing around? You don't think?
No,
there's
it
a-
is.
I've never heard of it until I got here.
It actually is. And I think it's like in like the north, it's like a more popular
Seems like some shit that
sport.
was made in the 70s
Like a
before we had
beer league.
iPads.
I agree.
Whirly ball.
but it's the best.
Whirly ball is a stadium, an indoor stadium with bumper cars that has 2 basically basketball backboards with targets in them. And you have a basket that you're throwing a wiffle ball into.
Highlight.
Highlight.
It's like a
scoops.
lacrosse.
It's like 5-on-5 bumper car lacrosse.
Yeah.
So you drive around. Yeah, 5
How
on
fast
5.
are the cars?
You definitely have some that
Some are really slow and some are really fast. You got to
That's
run.
kind of like humans.
Yeah.
You got to sprint out to them and get the fast
Oh,
ones.
but it's so fun. I mean, that outing, we've done paintball, in-house events. The ERG Athlon was a lot of fun. And I think that one especially
What's
because
the ERG Athlon?
ERG Athlon was a send-off actually to like the games this year. It was a 5K ski erg, 10K bike erg, and another 5K row. Teams of 3. Alternate whenever you wanted. And then we had scaled options if it was like you had a female on your team or if it was an all-female team. But it just was simple. Right? Like there's no skill that was involved.
But that's so painful.
Yeah,
Dude.
but I'm saying it allows
It was
everybody
awesome
to be
to watch.
involved. Where I think when you have like in-house events, you have people that won't do them based off of, oh, I saw a chest to bar.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
well, I'm not going to sign up. I
bunch of
can't
squat
do a chest to
snatches.
bar. Okay, well, there's power. I don't like power snatching. I'm not going to sign up. Where rowing, bike erg, ski erg, everybody can do all of
Who
those.
likes
There's
that
no
shit?
Brandon.
Yeah. Way more than the other stuff.
So I think from the community aspect, it got way more people involved. So I think there was around 24, 25 teams of 3. And then you had a ton of people just spectating. And then like the next few days, you just heard everybody talking about, man, how cool is that? I'm so wrecked. I'm still messed up. Like I didn't think it would be that hard. Or they didn't think it would actually take that long. When you actually look at the distance and how long it accumulated to be was close to 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
And most of them like, man, I thought we were going to be done in like 20 minutes. And I was
Yeah.
like, did you not think about just the row's going to take you 20 minutes?
The winning team, what was their average? It was like low 130s.
Yeah. So we had
We cut
2
3
teams.
big dudes.
There was 2 teams. It was Harrison, Kyle, and who was his third? Oh, I think another Kyle, and then David, Brendan, and then
Kyle Loop.
So there's 2 teams, and they were on the ski erg. When I looked, they were both around a 132.
Yeah,
like all of them to 129. So they were flying. On the bike, probably 135s was the average, maybe a little lower. And then on the row, probably close to 130. Like, and that's for 45 minutes that each time they're hopping on. It was probably around every 40 to 45 seconds they would rotate, maybe a little shorter than that. And they were all messed up. 2 people, I think, got sick.
It was awesome.
Like that's the worst feeling because you're sprinting the entire
people
time.
This sounds like a terrible idea.
Well, it's only for the people that went that hard. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Everybody else had a fantastic
Kyle
time.
cash out the next day.
Yeah, Kyle was
COVID
done and got COVID, and he was done for a week.
Yeah,
but
made him sick.
I think it just
This
it's a
ergathon
fun
pitch really went down.
but it was something people will never forget.
Could us 3 beat them in that?
Yes.
You think?
Yes.
It'd be hard.
If Mike doesn't cramp, then yes,
I'd be fine. But they were rotating so fast that like it was power based,
right? Yeah, for sure.
So I think it would have been a hard race because they're big guys.
Yeah,
they were all flying, but it ended up coming down to 3 seconds was the separator, and it was so close.
They were
to watch,
getting after it on that last
and they
row.
were like 8 rowers apart from each other. So there was like, we had it set up as you'd move down like the gym floor, but they were on the other side of each other. If they were side by side, I think it definitely would have been
that was
a
fun.
little bit closer of a race, but it was definitely a cool event.
It was in the middle of the summer, and when I came in the gym, like 10 minutes before it was about to start, everyone's warming up, and it was so hot and muggy.
Steamy.
It just, so many people.
God, I love it.
It was sweaty. It was disgusting.
Oh, I love it.
But it was a great time. It was one of the coolest events I've seen in-house.
Yeah. So those events obviously build community, and then I think they make memories that people become loyal to who you are and what you stand for. But what else? Like, what about the normal, like just day-to-day operations? Like, are there things that you're telling your coaches or things that you're thinking about as people come into the gym?
In regards to
just building your community. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we've kind of cultivated a good community from the beginning of always just thinking about the members and making it the best hour of their day. That's essentially what they're coming to me for. And yes, they want help and technique and all those things, but I also need to make it a fun and exciting hour. So anytime anybody's in there, you try to put good music on.
I was about to say, how do you handle the music choices?
Oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, that's always a tough topic because I feel like people definitely have their preferences, but I play it off of the class. So like 6:30 at night, I have like my own playlist kind of just for them because they're a younger group and they like different stuff. And then the 4:30 would probably like the hardcore rap. Then 5:30 is just kind of like, we don't really care. We'll listen to anything.
Really? So 4:30 p.m. is
4:30 is
hardcore
rowdy.
rap.
Yeah.
Hardcore rap. And then 5:30, there's within
maybe
an hour, the whole group is like, meh.
Yes.
It's a total change.
Wow.
Totally different
personality.
change.
Yeah.
Now,
And
did all those people self-select into that hour because they were sick of the hard rap people?
Probably.
Sometimes with that group, yes. But yeah, the music's definitely one. But I think you're just trying to make the whole hour fun and exciting. And I think the community would keep building based off of that.
I'm never here that early, but I feel like the 5:30 and 6:30 are like, that's like the Rocky, the
5:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the dedicated.
Those are the fired up people that are like the go-getters that run this country.
Those people don't even know what the fuck's on the
They're
radio.
getting after
They're
it.
just going for it.
And they're the
Different breed of human.
Yeah, and they're the ones setting sometimes the fastest times of the day on workouts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know how you're doing that at 5:30 in the morning.
Early.
But it's so impressive.
Maxing out
But they are
snatches.
so dedicated. If you're an early morning person, like you are extremely dedicated at those times because when you start to wake up that early and realize how hard you have to push, that is a hard thing to do, and day in and day out. Being
It's
up
more
at 5
so my
o'clock.
joints at that time.
Yeah, I'm not ready.
It takes
I'm
a
not
while.
ready to move and at least lift or do anything that early.
But is there a part of you that sees the people who do it and think maybe you're just making an excuse?
Yes.
I'm not answering it.
Travis like, I work out 8 hours a day, man.
I make an excuse. I work out in my garage in the mornings. I'm
Yeah.
like, man, I'm stiff. And I look at the class workout. I'm like, come on.
Yeah, when you're
true.
writing programming,
Yeah,
it changes your dynamic.
you're fine. You're fine.
What about on the programming side? Are there things that you're thinking about maybe comboing people or ways that you want to integrate?
Saturdays we create a partner workout,
Yeah.
and that's just like a theme that I think a lot of gyms have picked up. But I think it's just important. Like people come in, it's the end of the week, and they want less coaching and progression and structure on those days, and they want more of just like a feel good sweat so they can get on with their weekend. Some will stick around and do extra stuff. Occasionally I'll throw some harder stuff in there just to make it a little bit of a challenge and change the beat from it just being like lightweight, simple movements all the time. But for the most part, that's what people seem to really enjoy. And and they want to, they come in and they want to race. And like, because again, like that's the stuff that like builds memories. And I don't think every gym needs to be like that. Like not every gym is like, competitive mindset, like a lot of Travis's members, which is fine. But I think with his members, they do enjoy that. And like, they want to talk smack. Like they want to push each other. Even the less, when I say like the less capable members, less fit, like relative to the younger athletic members, like they still want to be competitive in it. So we'll adjust the workouts in a way so that everyone's like getting a good race in and they love it. It's really fun. So I think that's one. The next is making sure that the tests, retests that we do in the programming is like stuff they're excited about seeing progress in, like I've in the past, I've been like, I know what they need to be better at to be safer long-term. And I know I can get them better at it. Do they really give a shit about it? Not always.
No.
So
that was more at the beginning.
Finding ways to be creative with like, we're going to do an upper body strength test progression this cycle, which doesn't sound very exciting, like upper body strength progressions. It's like, all right, you're going to get your chin over bar hold better. You're going to do your strict pull up and you're going to do maybe a handstand push up progression. Explained in that way, it isn't always the most exciting thing. But if I say we're going to do the upper body total this cycle, that sounds a little more fun and you can be creative with it. They're like, oh, now I'm in. No, but just, I think being creative with ways that you have tests that you want them to improve and show progress in as a way to like build community and also too, you throw bench press in it, like membership.
Yeah, well, I was going to say,
membership so excited. So excited.
Daily attendance is going to shoot through the roof.
There was a day, I think it was a couple weeks ago, I entered the wrong workout.
This is funny. Yeah.
And I don't know how I messed it up, but I ended up messing up. So I was on a completely different year and it had bench press in it. And so I copied it, pasted it, put it in. So many people, because then Amy texted me that morning. She's like, yeah, this isn't the workout. I was like, what are you talking about? She's like, yeah. And people were fuming.
Like, what the heck?
Because
that's why they came in.
Yeah.
Like exactly. That was it. Like, man, I took off work to come here and finish the bench press. What are you doing? This isn't even right. And so then later I changed it. They're like, this wasn't what was on the Wodify. And I was like, yeah, it was. Like, no, it wasn't. There was bench press.
I would have been there too.
But it's so funny.
Why is that? Just a whole bunch of Al Bundys coming in to show that they can still bench?
I think it's just like, that was something they loved doing before. And in CrossFit, in reality, you don't really bench that much. It tightens up your overhead a lot. And then we're doing more push press, push jerk, split jerk, that kind of progression. But then when they do get it, they are fired up. In love with it. And there's a ton of guys, even on Saturday, they stay after. And on Saturday, they are always benching. They're benching doing their bench progressions. And they just love it. Mm-hmm. But they just want a good pump.
It's their first love, man. I think that's the first thing you get into.
I don't think you grow out of enjoying the pump.
No.
So
I feel like I kind of did. I feel like I used to do it, but I also never really bench pressed a lot. Maybe that's why my pecs are small.
That's what it was.
Yeah. I just mean the pump in general. I don't mean bench press pump. I just mean pump in general. Like I'll still throw in bicep curls and tricep extensions, stuff that, accessorizes the lifts that you've been finishing with.
So the Saturdays, going back to that point, I think that's that's a game changer for you guys because everyone loves it. And doing partner workouts in general is so nice after a week of just doing stuff by yourself.
It's an opportunity too. Like when you're doing individual workouts during the week, you're in a sense exposed a little bit on how hard you're trying. And in a partner workout, if you just don't want to go that hard that day, it's okay. Your partner's doing it and you guys,
but they also feel like they have to go harder.
I can't do that.
Partner's there.
I feel
getting
bad
that push. Yeah. Cause there'll be times people be like, I don't want to partner with them. They're going to go too hard. I don't want to go that hard right now.
Exactly.
And then they ended up being partnered and then they get done like, all right, that was good. But it's definitely funny when they're like, oh, why him?
Yeah. Would you guys rather be partnered with someone that's really fit or really unfit if you're not feeling it that day?
It depends what kind of mood I'm in. So with you, anytime you ask me to be a partner, I'm like, I got to get a good night's sleep. I need to fuel up because I know I'm going to be pushed hard.
Let's go. I need at least a week notice to get my body ready for that.
It sucks. But the other thing is you don't get enough rest. So doing something with Travis, if we were doing the ERG Athlon, you're only getting a few seconds and you have to sprint again. That's just not a good feeling at all.
Yeah, there's been a couple times I've hopped in on Saturdays and people are like, No.
Yeah,
I don't. I'm like, no, I need a partner. Like, I need a partner. And they're like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm like, but you're going to do it.
They know better.
And then we'll start and they're like, I don't get any rest. I'm like, yeah. They're like, but you just did like 15 reps in the time it takes me to 3. I was like, yeah, but you're up.
Yeah.
It's your turn. And I don't just take over all the work. Like, I sit there and make them still do their part that they said they were going to do. But it's funny when they're like, no, I don't want to do that.
Let me ask you a question that's, I guess, kind of programming related, but how important do you think it is creating a good on-ramp system or an onboarding system?
I think it's extremely important.
When people reach out to join.
Yeah. I mean, that was something we used to never actually do. It used to just be something like you come and join the gym and then you get kind of thrown in.
Was that on purpose or you just never thought about it?
No, I think when, like, back in the day, it wasn't really thought about too much. Like, throwing an on-ramp program was kind of odd. Like, you would just come into the class and start, and then you'd
get your shit pushed in and come back next week.
But that's essentially
when I
what
walked
it
in the
was.
gym back in the day, the dude had me do Fran, and like I cringe at the thought of doing that now to people, unless they
and giving that to them. Even at the level 1, you did Fran. Even if you were, so it's like that was just kind of the staple of when you started. So you thought that was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Hey, but it kept us all here, right?
Yeah, we're all here.
I know.
We fell
We
in
were
love
like,
with it.
oh, it was so effective. Well, I've been doing this for over a decade now.
Yeah, and I loved every minute of it. But now I think
it could have a
good
reverse
structure-
effect on some
for sure.
So.
But I also think the way the sport has changed has been a big difference from what it used to be. It's like actually a sport. There's actually more progressions. There's more thought behind the way things are put into place. And so for us having an on-ramp program, we do 6 personal training sessions. So 1-on-1, which then breaks down like push, pull, squat, power snatch, jerk, metcons, rowing, double unders. So you're getting a lot of skill developed in that amount of time. And then you get like a little workout at the very end. So it's like kind of the same way class would be structured, where it's like strength portion, skill, workout.
Yeah.
And then you kind of do that the entire 6 sessions. And then if they need more, then we extend it a few more sessions if they need like still help and like their movement's just not there and they need more 1-on-1, or you show them like different options that they can actually do. It's like, hey, look, you might need just personal training for a little bit longer, then go into a group class. And then others that might have an athletic background or something else might condense that into like 2 or 3 because they have a background in Olympic lifting or they have a background in CrossFit to a degree.
Yeah.
So then you can condense the classes down smaller and be like, all right, now you can advance into
or if they transferred from another gym.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's more of a case by case.
Yeah. Case by case for sure.
So how do you set that up? Like, how are you selling that? Someone comes, let's say I walk through the door. Hey, Travis, my name's Brandon and I want to join the CrossFit gym. What are you selling to me?
Yeah. So essentially
the first,
yeah, you like too many ergs. First thing is just getting an understanding of like who you are.
Sure.
Walk you through kind of the gym, what it looks like, the flow, how everything works. And then it's, hey, have you ever done this? And then if you're like, yes, then you start asking more and more questions about that. Where, how long, what did you do? And then if not, we'll be like, okay, well, you still need to run through an on-ramp, at least a 1 session, so we can at least get an understanding of what you can do. Because you can tell me you've done CrossFit,
right.
But a lot of times people haven't.
So no matter what, you
try to run them through it. Yeah. Unless like you're like, hey, I've been a member for 10 years in this gym and I'm just looking for a new gym. Then you can usually tell pretty quick by watching someone move if that's true or not. So even if they come and just try a class, you're like, okay, well then come try our noon class. They come try the noon and then you watch the movie, you're like, that's not true. You need to come and take on-ramp.
I'll tell you why that's a mistake.
Giving someone money for 10 years, but you may have not gone.
Yeah,
I'll tell you why that's a mistake. The first walk behind mower I ever bought when I owned a lawn business back in the day, I went to the place to buy it. It was a Lesco. I don't know if you know what that brand is. And it's like an $8,000 mower. And the guy's like, you ever driven one before? I'm like, sure. and he's like, all right, well, good luck. Here's the keys. I paid for it. And I go to drive it onto the trailer and I just run straight into the back of the trailer of my car and I crash it.
I did the same thing. Not with one of those.
I needed an on-ramp. He shouldn't have taken my word for it, and I shouldn't have lied and said, "Yeah, I can do this." I wanted to be cool and be like, "No, I can do this."
Yeah, totally, man.
Yeah. So usually then they get run through that, and then you just explain more of like what we offer with the on ramp, what they'll get from it, and then you sign them up for that, and then they start, and then it's all based off of their time. So if they're like, I can come at 6 a.m., then I can come at 12 in the afternoon. We kind of base it off of them. Cool. We used to do just certain times. We'd have a morning and a night. This was years ago. But then it would be like they were just always open. And those would be the on-ramp times if there was a lot of people. I feel like that would work if we were more on a like main road and had more people walking in constantly, like, okay, well, tonight at 6 p.m. we have an on-ramp, and then tomorrow at 7:30. So then you at least have that structured. But when we did that, I was paying for a coach and we were losing money from that. So there was no point. So then it became like a case by case. Hey, can you come in at this time? So it's off of your schedule.
Yeah. I think one of the reasons people don't have on-ramp is because there is a barrier to entry there. Like coaches are afraid that the person will walk out and they won't get their business. So how would you ease the concern of the affiliate owner who's listening to this and explain to them why it's important?
Yeah, you charge for this, right?
Yeah. We charge a separate fee. I mean, if those 6 classes take you 2 weeks, then you're going to pay me for a membership at the end of the 2 weeks on top of that. But I think the importance is having an idea of when I get into a class structure, one, it's not taking away from every single person in the gym. Because if I have to teach you every single thing on how to hinge, how to press, how to squat, none of my other members that pay me consistently are getting any benefit from that.
Right.
Like my time is literally just spent with you teaching you. So for one, that's why we make that. So then at least when they get into a class structure, they actually feel semi-confident with what's happening, or at least have an idea and understanding. 2, it keeps them safe so that they
know what
continue.
they're doing.
Yeah, right. Like you could come in and there's burpee over box jump overs and power snatch and something else. And then they end up getting hurt and it's like, oh, CrossFit's terrible. Right. And it's like, okay, well, no, you now need to do the progressions of how everything else runs. So I think it's also very important from a health standpoint and from the community standpoint of every single gym member I have has run through that. And it's very easy for me to sell that because they've all run through it at some point and done some form of the on-ramp and had some one-on-one coaching before they ever got into a class structure, except for the people that have been with me for 10 years that started that way when we didn't have it. But recently, that's any person that comes inside the gym, you go through the on-ramp program. Yeah. But I don't think we've ever lost somebody that's gone through the on-ramp and then doesn't continue.
It's pretty high conversion.
Yeah, I feel like people get buy-in doing that.
Well, and you're showing that you're committed to actually doing it, right? So most of the people that are coming in to try CrossFit aren't just coming in to get like a quick workout for the day and then that's really it. Like there's a lot more that goes involved in that. You're more invested. So spending the time, hey, you need to focus on these things at the beginning so you have an understanding. 1, so our coaches don't spend all of our time with you, and 2, that you maintain health. And then after that, I'm trying to think. There maybe was 1 or 2 people that like didn't.
It's because you farted during the session.
Yeah, possibly. But the conversion rate's very, very high.
Chris, you missed a fart joke.
And then you have a competent member base.
Oh, now they know I wasn't here. Come on, run it back.
I said only maybe a couple people ever left
during a fundamentals.
Oh, no, not didn't leave. But after the 6 sessions, like didn't actually sign up. And then Mike was like, because you farted probably.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
So
you might like that.
I don't think I've ever heard Travis fart. Yeah. No, that's not true.
No, I was about to say.
I can let it happen.
Yeah, you can. Let's take a step back then and talk about, okay, so you talked about all these things that build a community and programs and progress, but why do members leave? Like, what have you seen in the past? We talked about some of those mistakes, but just in general over the last 9 years, like what are the things that people are leaving
Honestly, for me, it's because they move for work or location.
Yeah.
For most, like, at least I've never been told to my face, I left because I don't like your gym and I don't like the people there, or I don't like what you're doing. For us, it's always been someone moved, something happened, like if they got an injury or something that did actually take place, but usually those happen outside of the gym. Oh, I was playing basketball, I tore my ACL, I tore my Achilles playing with something. Like most of the injuries have happened outside of here, and then we're adjusting for it inside the gym. But most of our clientele has not left due to, at least that they've ever told me.
I think a better way to answer this is let's let people that have come to the gym, they're going to be more honest with why they left their previous gym. So I would say, like, what are some of the reasons that they told you? Because I know a lot of them.
Oh, that's a good point.
To them.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, rarely are people going to give you the honest answer when they're leaving. You know, like that's been my experience with coaching individually for years. Working
We've never lost a member.
Yeah. Like they're going to be like, no, it's not, you know, everything's good. It's good. You know, I appreciate it. I just, you know, I got this new thing now. But when they go wherever they're going next, they're gonna be honest.
Yeah.
You know. So what are the things you've heard?
For people that have come here and joined, was I never got coaching. The community. I want to be more competitive.
I mean, those are 3 big ones.
Yeah, and then I'm trying to think what else. I mean, I really feel
coach farted and fundamentals.
Was filming me in the bathroom. Oh my God, did y'all hear that shit?
Yeah. No, I didn't
Wild
know about
story.
it. What happened?
I don't know the story either. I just saw it on
know.
Morning Talk.
I read a headline and now I'm splurting it to you.
Let's speculate on it.
I don't like I'm not a speculator.
But yeah, I think those are probably the main reasons on why people join us and have left other gyms.
Yeah.
Or their friend joins and then they kind of rave about how it is. And then but I think a lot of times once you start CrossFit, you're very loyal to where you started.
Right.
Like it's very uncomfortable leaving a gym and telling them
Man,
hey, I want to go somewhere else
really
because
is.
you've really created a relationship with that person. But it's not like sometimes I think it's not a personal thing. I don't take it personal if someone tells me they're leaving or they have to
Nobody
move.
nobody ever cared if they switched from, Planet Fitness to Lifetime.
Colgate
No,
to Crest.
yeah, but like in the CrossFit community, that's like
Yeah.
kind of frowned upon.
Yeah.
Like it's like,
like breaking up.
like this is I'm very uncomfortable doing this. Like, but you guys do such a better job here. I love everything about it, but like I just know them and like this is gonna be very awkward. But sometimes they're like contracted in, so then it's harder for them to get out of it. But yeah, it's just awkward for people to break up.
Yeah.
Because essentially that's what you're doing with someone you like probably like as a person, but just
Well, I think
how they
that's
run
the
the
thing,
business
is
is
it's-
the different.
You guys made the joke about, Crest to Colgate, but you don't have any personal relationship with that brand. You just are buying it and then you can switch it, whatever.
What are you talking about? They're on my mouth every day.
Wow. I didn't know you were going there with that. I was in my head thinking, you don't get emails from Colgate checking in? How you teach doing, bro?
I'm glad you have multiple
We're real
things in your
personal,
mouth.
dude.
Chris has all kinds of things in his mouth lately.
I spit them out, though. I spit them out.
Who was talking before that?
What I guess my point is when you go into a gym, you build a relationship with the owner, whether it's close or not, like you just know the person. And it's okay, so here's a social media thing, right? It's really easy to be on social media if you don't know someone and talk trash. It's much more rare to talk trash to someone in person when you unless you're joking.
Yeah.
Because people are uncomfortable. People are the way
confrontation.
That
To openly criticize. Yep.
So I think that makes sense, but it still is about like building this community that people would never want to leave, right? Like trying to find ways that are like really buying those people into you. So then there's no reason to leave.
Yeah. And I don't think you'll ever be able to keep everybody.
Yeah.
That's just not realistic. Like out of 220 people, I'm not going to keep them all happy the entire time. That's just not realistic. I mean, I can do the best job from reaching with Mike and talking and creating a better program and getting everybody better results, and then talking to the coaches, making sure all the community feels safe and comfortable and excited to train. But then at the end of the day, like there's going to be times someone might not like somebody in the class, or someone made a comment that like things that are just out of my control that I can't control. Like I can't tell somebody what they're supposed to say and not say. And if someone says that to Mike and he gets upset, he's like, all right, well, I'm going to go to a different gym. Like, I don't know if that happens, but I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if sometimes it does, but I mean, at the end of the day, like you're just trying to do your best with making the entire gym feel like, hey, this is really where I want to be. This is where I want to spend my time. This is where I want to give my money and keep coming in day after day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the programming side, Mike, just real quick, one of the things he said is like, it's not competitive enough. And I've heard that a lot from other gyms too. Like, so people always kind of want the next step. Even if they don't want to be competitive, like let's say go to Wadapalooza or something, they still like, I want to get my muscle ups, and they never practice those. How important is it to like have those high level skills in the CrossFit gym programming?
That's a good question. I mean, I come from the opinion that I think sometimes gyms don't need to, right? Like perhaps that member, gyms don't want to lose members. I understand that. As an owner, you want to have people there, but sometimes that member is not a good fit for the style of gym that you are. And I think that the problem was that maybe they didn't know that when they came in, maybe they weren't under the impression with that. So I don't think that every gym needs to have super hard competitive workouts, because it's just not the average clientele is what they're asking for. Travis's gym does enjoy that stuff. They're kind of in the middle.
Yeah. I feel like most of our clientele is like some, want to be competitive, but the majority of like high skilled gymnastics, I think is almost not saying it's low, but it's not like we're doing a lot of muscle ups. We're not doing, or if it is, it's more on a bar, like not a lot of ring. Like I've always been like, you base the program around the clientele.
Sure.
Right. Like, I can write it around myself and the things that I want to do. And I think you can do, but that's not necessary for what's going to get them better. So it's always been more, hey, what's the clientele like? Okay, this is what it is. This is what the majority of people need work on.
Yeah.
Let's write a program around that.
Now, on the other side of that, if you do have members that are requesting that, and you have the facility to do it, and you have the ability to do it, and the coaches that want to do it, I think then, yeah, you need to provide something. You just need to come up with a solution that makes sense in the setting that allows them to still to fulfill that demand or that need they have for that extra stuff. And like, you know, I write extra credit work for members here or not specific members for the programming here on site. They just offered the competitor program. So I think gyms have plenty of ideas now and ways that they can do that. In the affiliate program that we're launching, we're going to have extra credit skill work like that. It's going to have 2 paths to fulfill both styles of programming for gyms that need it. One style is going to be more sport performance, you know, kind of competitive focused. I would say probably similar to what Travis's members do in terms of like they do bar muscle ups in class, they'll do snatch progressions. And then the other side of it is like more of like a fitness GPP style where maybe it's a gym with lower ceiling height and they're not super concerned with doing squat snatch progressions, but they just want to give their members like
when you travel the world, what do you feel like is the most like what's the percentage there? Do you have a gauge?
Dude, I see a mix. I mean, I see some gyms that are in a retail space with low ceilings that do hard, crazy CrossFit. I think it's whatever the members like, they do, you know? So I think it just depends. I've seen a mix across the board.
And I think a lot of where it's located.
I think it's impossible though to create like that one program that suits every gym in the world because lot that I've been to, they're so different. Even in this area, like the gyms that I know in this local area, have extremely different client base, you know. So.
Should the coach or the owner go after a certain client base? Like, are you kind of directing the way that you want your gym to be known, or is it more like you just let the clients come in and then get feedback from them?
Yeah, you just let the clients come in and then you take feedback. And I think there's also like, if you look at all of our classes, there is a different feel at every single class.
Yeah,
each class is completely different. Like there is not one class where I'm like, yeah, they're kind of the same. Like. You have the 5:30, 6:30 a.m. crew that's like the hardcore Rockies dedicated every single day. We'll be here. We'll do all the extra work.
Are those usually your business people? Like the people that are going and working downtown Atlanta and
Yeah. Then you have the 7:30, 8:30 kind of just a little more relaxed, kick back.
Yeah.
Some of the 8:30 is more like
maybe
the
more
moms.
the mom that dropped the kid off.
Yeah, and the noon is the people that are like, hey, I'm on my lunch break. I need to be done at 1 o'clock. This is it. You have the 4:30. That's probably the wild, reckless older man.
They just got out of school and they're like throwing the backpack off, jumping off the school bus, just running full speed.
Living their best life. And then you have the
it's bench press day.
5:30, 6:30. That's probably like a younger crowd. That's more of the competitive environment. So I mean, they're all so different.
Who's your favorite
class?
I'm just kidding.
I love them all. I love them all.
You knew that was
but
gonna be the
I love them all differently, right? They're all different.
That's such a dad answer.
I'm a dad.
I love all my kids differently.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. It's the same people every day at the same hours, right? Like that's how it was when I had the affiliate
you get into it. So then those people that usually come in, you just kind of find their way into one of those classes. They're like, yeah, this is my fit. Like this is like, even that's what people come from other gyms. Like it's just an older crowd. Like they don't really do much else. Like, okay, well, hey, look, our 5:30, 6:30 in the afternoon is probably the class that you might want to try. It's a younger group. They're very competitive.
Is that just singles ready to mingles class?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point.
Most of them are actually like taken, but
this is actually a pretty married gym here, huh?
Yeah, it is.
I feel like
a lot of baby making in this gym.
Yeah, there is
so many babies. In this gym.
There are a lot of babies.
I don't know what's in the water, but don't drink it if you want to get pregnant.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I mean, you know the class dynamic pretty well, and I think that you've had occasions where you've recommended members like, why don't you try this? Go into this time instead. It's probably suited more to you. Or like someone new comes in, they did fundamentals and they're like, well, I'll show up to 4:30. And you're like, why don't you try 5:30?
Yeah. But it's true. Like there are definitely classes that I'm like, look, you'd probably have a better fit in this class and have more of an enjoyable experience than you would with this group that's just a little more reckless.
Do you think there's someone who hears that and says, that's dumb. You should have the same shit at all classes. And you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, they can say that, but that's just not the way it works.
There's no way with it. It's the type of people.
It's the people in the class. It's not the coaching. It's not the programming. It's literally, it's the people. And that's why people are here, is for the community, and then it's like, look, that might just be your group that you love hanging out with. That's fine. That's great. Okay. You don't like that? All right. Try 6 a.m. Okay. You don't like that? Try noon. Some people are like, man, noon's awesome. Oh, and It just depends on who the person is and what they're looking to get out of it. And
Do you ever have AM versus PM? Have y'all
we
done one of
did do
those?
that. That was awesome.
And
We have
AM
a
fucking
trophy.
slayed or what?
We have a trophy out there. AM
Who did
versus
win?
PM. Pretty sure it was PM.
I think
Oh,
PM
really?
won, yeah.
Yeah, because I remember I was
Wait,
coaching
when
that
was
night.
this?
And I was
When
fired
was
up.
it done?
So we
Was
did
it done during the PM?
No, we did a full. Was it?
We did a series of tests, and we
on
had
certain days.
and we basically took individual scores for all the tests and combined them up.
Oh, so,
like,
they weren't
like-
competing in real time.
Yeah, no,
you
it
should
wasn't.
know.
It
So
wasn't
it
like
would
a
be like-
big comp.
no.
But it was still cool because like the normal morning crew would show up in the morning. That day was this test and then this Metcon. And then
Yeah.
you take
I think you
all
should
the
do it
scores
different.
from that.
But here's what we did: it was we blind leaderboarded it.
So no one knew.
Yeah, and
that's cool.
because PM was like, "Oh, we got this. We're going to see their scores," and then they showed up to class, and there
there's
wasn't
no-
anything on the
that's the
board,
way to do it.
and they were pissed.
furious.
All right, so that's one way to do it, and I think that's
Yeah.
valid. But I think you should do another one where it's you have them head to head, where they commit to coming a couple sessions, or you have to do it at least an even number. Where let's say 2. One's in the AM, and the next day is in the PM. So they both
Yeah.
get their time of day, and then you'll probably
like,
see
so
the
the
AM
PM
wins because none of the PM motherfuckers are going to wake up.
Heck, no. Yeah, those PMs
They win by default.
Yeah, they would. They wouldn't come in for that. They would be like, "Nah, I'm good." But yeah, that was actually I forgot about that one. That was a fun one that we
Yeah.
did that a lot of the members got fired up about. And then like you have we have our AM coaches and our PM coaches. So then you get the coaches involved and then they're like, guys, you guys better show up and win. Blah, blah, blah. So then you get the coach excited about it. And I remember I was coaching on one night and man, I was fired up. I made sure everybody like scaled it appropriately, did it right. Oh, I was so fired up.
That was fun.
I will say the one
back.
thing is when you're coaching. Like I'll be in here writing
Everybody
programs
knows when
and-
I'm coaching.
and you can hear Travis out there. And you were talking about that earlier, but making it fun and making it the most fun hour of their day, I think is
Yeah,
very
I always
important.
enjoy that. I get excited playing music, dancing, singing, yelling, coaching.
doing
good
your
time.
third open repeat.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
it just sometimes the community will power you through a lot of things. And
If you could come up with a quick tally, how many times have you repeated your open attempt in the middle of class, or
the middle?
after coaching your class
Without planning it.
without planning it, an unplanned open reattempt?
probably 5.
Chris, I'm going in the morning.
And when I say reattempt,
Sorry, Chris, I went last night.
You did it that morning.
Yeah, so usually would take place. I would do.
and I
the-
was thinking like 10 or 12.
I would do Friday morning. I mean, there's probably a lot of times I've repeated, but
Yeah.
it'd be like Friday morning. I would do the workout when the opens announced. And then we'd have Friday night lights, and I just get extremely amped up coaching and watching everybody do the open. And sometimes
again.
I get so fired up, I want to go again. There was one year I had pizza and cookies because that's what we had post open. And I was like, you know what? I feel good right now. I'm just going to go. Ended up doing it and beating it by a minute from the morning. And
You heard it, pizza and
What
cookies.
workout was that?
The handstand push up, handstand walk, deadlift.
Oh, yeah,
that
yeah.
one.
I
I don't know
remember
why.
that.
Just
Wow, a minute. That's a big
yeah,
gap
I
in
was
that one.
fired up. And just
Yeah.
got excited.
You're carved up.
I was carved up. The sugar. Of
How
the
long
cookie-
have we been going?
We've been going an hour and 2
Hour
minutes
and
and
two.
27 seconds.
We did have Instagram questions, but I feel like y'all hit them all. Anything
Okay.
else you had, Brandon? That's all I got.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah.
Well, thanks, guys.
Thanks.
All right.